Welcome back to this next episode of the Evan Phillips Show, guys. We're going to talk about just 4 topics today: budgeting, building an emergency fund, avoiding credit card debt, and paying your bills on time. Let's get into this. All right, guys, so let's talk about budgeting. So I know that we all like to do things. I personally have a lot of hobbies, things I like to get into, things I like to buy, food we like to eat, all sorts of things. But where do you draw the line, right? What is too much fun? And where do you say, hey, I shouldn't do this, or maybe we should just go out to eat next weekend? So budgeting is the first thing we're going to talk about. So there are many ways that you guys can budget, right? So the first thing you want to know is, how much do you make, right? What's your annual income? So what you're going to do is you're going to take your annual income and then you're going to divide it, right, by, let's just say 12 months, right? So you're going to know monthly what you make. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take all of your liabilities. So those are things you have to pay, right? Like your credit card bills, your mortgage, childcare. Actually, let's turn over to the computer for this. I think this might help you guys visually understand how this can be done. Okay, guys, so as you can see here, we're just going to start with a budget calculator, and I'll put this down in the description, a link to this web page, so you guys can do the same thing on your own. But let's just start here with the household income, right? So this will allow you guys to put in what you think you make a year. Let's just say 60,000 for now, or let's just say 40,000, right? So let's say you're just making $40,000 a year. Now, you're going to see right down here, this is going to give you your total amount that you can expend, right? So let's just clear these out to get an idea. So your total expenses monthly are $33.29. So let's say your child care is, let's say, $600 a month, right? And let's say you have one child, right? So you can kind of see you're already over budget on that, but let's continue to move down. So let's say your health care for the whole family is a good $320 a month. Let's say your housing expenses or your rent or whatever you're doing, let's say it's about $1,100. Food, now see, these are certain things we can negotiate, but let's just say, $450 for food. Let's say transportation is, let's say $600. And then let's say we like to have a lot of fun on the weekend, so we spend $300 a month on other things. And let's say that, we're not saving as much as we should, maybe $50, if that, a month. And let's just say taxes, we're paying about $700, right? So as you can see here, number one, you're way over budget by $791. You're in the red. Your expenses are $41.20 at this point, and your total amount that you should be able to utilize would be that $33.29. So let's see what we can do here. How can we make this number better, right? So we know we have some things we can't change, right? We have childcare. You can shop around, maybe see if there's a cheaper childcare place for yourself or your family. That can be a tough one there. Let's go to medical, right? Go over your medical plans, make sure you're in the best type of plan that you and your family can benefit from. Explore some other options like life insurance, right? But let's say that we're not going to do that in this scenario, right? You've got your housing. This is what it is, right? So now we're getting to where we can make an impact, right? How are we doing with our food? Why are we spending $450, right? So let's say that we decide to, let's get healthy. Let's buy food and cook at home. We can take that down to $250, right? So this is going to put money back into your pocket, right? Transportation, are you making extra trips? Are you using more gas than what you should? So let's try and reduce this. In some cases, I know that you can't reduce this. It's just maybe the cost of your travels, but those extra trips out, maybe you can bring that down to maybe $500 a month, right? So now let's talk about the other expenses. So these are the things like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, the extra things that you can live without. So let's just reduce this down to about $125, right? So now we've gotten ourselves in a better situation, right? We're still not looking like we should, but this looks better. Now, I know that not everyone can save in all of these categories, but there are typically some things we can do monthly to reduce our expenditures, right? So this will give you a breakdown of what you're paying over here and what's taking the most. So housing, which is regular, that's taking the bulk of your money. All right, then we have childcare, which is very important. And then we've also got taxes, right? Which is actually a little bit more than, taxes are what they are. You can't control those. And then you've got over here transportation, which this is definitely something. In some cases you can control, some you can't. Your medical, your savings, and others. So this picture is still not as good as it could be, but this is just a way that I can show you guys a tool you can use to help yourself budget, right? Where you can put money where it needs to go. You can make better life choices. That's what budgeting is really about. Now, that's just something that you can do to really help yourself get a better picture of what your income is and what everything looks like. Another way to do this, guys, is Mint, and I'm not going to go through all of these. So Mint is a really great application. I have used it for years. It really helps you put all of your finances into one place and gives you a breakdown of what things look like. Now, for you couples out there who, you both have finances and they may not be visible, this app allows things to be more visible. It's called Honeydew. So Honeydew is a great way for you guys to keep track of all your purchases, and you can both be responsible. You can send messages back and forth as far as who owes who money. You can see all of the transactions on the account, and there's some other features if you do need some privacy. But this is definitely something that can help you better your finances together. So those things that you may not agree on or there isn't visibility, Honeydew is another way to help you guys do that. So check out the links to all of these in the description below. I'm going to put the Honeydew link, the Mint, and the link to this website so you guys can do your budgeting. So the second thing on the list is building an emergency fund, right? So we can do this by savings, right? So you saw on the pie chart there where we had that amount that we could save monthly, right? So what you really want to do is drive down those items that you can live without monthly, right? The Netflix and the Hulus and the Disney Plus. If you're in that situation and you're paying for these things, even your cell phone, maybe you can get a cheaper plan or reduce some of those things that are just not a mandatory thing for you to have the best of. Reduce those things and put that into savings, right? It feels so much better to have an emergency fund in the event of an emergency than to have Hulu or Netflix for 12 months and you watch 6 movies. So, you have to plan, you have to have that mentality to change your ways. It's really about how you think and how you look at things. So take this advice and apply it. So the third thing we're going to talk about is avoiding credit card debt, right? So we talked about how to have good credit and do all these things. Well, let's talk really quick here about credit cards. So yes, it's great to have a credit card. It's great to have rewards. It's a great thing to be able to use it. But remember, you want to use your credit card as if it's a debit card, right? If you've got $20 in the bank, and I know you may have a $1,000 balance on your credit card or whatever you may have, but treat that credit card just as if it's your debit card, right? So if you can't spend it on your debit, then you can't spend it on your credit. So that's the slogan that you want to think about. If you can't spend it on your debit, you can't spend it on your credit. Also, make sure you're making that payment on time. We've always talked about on-time payments and how important that is, which is our next topic, by the way. But you're going to want to make sure that you pay that before your interest accrues. So if you use your card and your bill comes due, you're going to want to pay that bill in its entirety so you're not paying any interest on the remaining balance due. So the last thing we're going to talk about here is paying your bills on time. Now, I know this might sound silly, but it's really about having this mentality where things need to be done on a specific time monthly, right? So get yourself in a position to where every single month you're responsible. Now, you can go the old school route, which is having a register of transactions or a checkbook and a register, and you can write everything down. But honestly, we're in 2021, guys, so there are better options out there like Mint and Honeydew. But for you people who don't have access to those applications, I would recommend still utilizing a register of transactions, writing down your transactions, knowing what you have, and deducting that on a regular basis. Yes, your bank does this for you as well. But like I said, it's more about having the mentality that this has to be done and your bills have to be paid on time. If this is not top of mind, then you can become lazy in your thinking and you can become late on your bills and all of this falls apart. So one of the biggest issues here is having the mentality to be financially successful and having the mentality that this is very important, right up there with your health and your finances, right? So these are very important key components for your success in your financial literacy and becoming more financially stable and successful. Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Evan Phillips Show. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments below. I'll be more than glad to answer those questions for you guys. Or if you guys have any tips or tricks that you guys use that you think might help other people, feel free to leave those down below in the comments as well. As always, you guys have a great evening and thank you for watching the Evan Phillips Show.